Welcome to the Mike Miller Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mike Miller Show.
Happy Wednesday. I think we had a rough start, but we're here. Jessica, you're here, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. It's a great day right now.
It's pretty good.
No, but I mean, Indiana, the weather is great. I just picked 7 tomatoes off 2 vines.
Oh, nice. I love tomatoes.
Yeah, but you know what? Are you aware there is this ongoing kind of almost civil war in this country over which state has the best tomatoes? I mean, you know, like Idaho potatoes, right?
Yeah.
But tomatoes is a thing too. Do you
Really?
know that?
I did not know that.
Oh my God. I think the two, the winner is Indiana, of course.
Yeah.
But New Jersey, of all places, claims to have the best tomatoes. And now I'm hearing from people on Facebook, Pennsylvania. Come on. And then remember Cultural Limits?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she says she always says everything about anything that has anything to do with anywhere near St. Louis and Missouri does, so we can discount her. But 7 beautiful tomatoes off the vines this morning. So whatever happens the rest of the day, it won't matter. Anyway, so the whole thing about like really good tomatoes,
Mm-hmm.
do you know, which you don't, what makes the difference?
No, I do not.
The acidity in the soil.
That makes sense.
It does, because you know, like when you taste a really good – have you ever tasted like a really good homegrown tomato?
Yes.
You know, like versus a grocery store tomato.
Yes.
And you can tell the difference, right?
Yeah, you can. It tastes very different.
It's got like this tart acidity thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should do like a half hour on tomatoes.
I'm sure everybody would love that.
Yeah, I think they might. You know what they might also like?
What?
I have 2 words.
What?
Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go, man. Before I start, what do you think of the whole deal? And let me have you phrase your answer in 2 parts. A, was it his right to do what he did? And B, what he told, who was it, ESPN or whomever, the next morning, why he did it. Your thoughts about that. So go.
Well, if we're talking about if it was his right to do that, I guess, yeah, sure, whatever. You know, he can do whatever he wants. He can be as big of a jackass as he wants to be. And
I like the way this is headed already.
Say what he wants to say. I mean,
yeah.
But I also think that everybody else has the right to be pissed off at him. So there you go.
God, I was kind of hoping you'd push back at me a little bit, because I think you know that I agree with everything you just said, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do think. I guess, yeah. I can't really push back on it because I don't have any other. I mean, it is his right, but I think he also, you know, if there is consequences to his actions, he shouldn't which it's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's going to blame certain things and certain groups of people, and it's actually going to be because, just like if you post naughty pictures and your company finds out, they're going to get rid of you. I feel like the same thing might happen to him.
Yeah, man, I have so many thoughts about this thing. First of all, y'all, there was a better than average chance that he's going to get cut anyway.
That's what I've heard from people that know about football.
And I know about football. He has sucked for more than 2 years. I mean, the guy was kind of like a bottle rocket, right? You know when I say that, or a flash in the pan. He was good for kind of most of 1 year. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason, like the media adored him and got all over him. He sucked ever since. In fact, he sucked Friday night in that preseason game after he did his deal. His salary cap is ridiculous. He's going to make $14 million this year, 17 next, or whatever, if they keep him. There was a real good chance that his ass was going to get cut irrespective. I almost said irregardless, like Southern Indiana Hoosiers. That he was going to get cut irrespective of this. And if he does, it should be irrespective of this, right? Mm-hmm. But, I mean, before I continue, does that raise a question? Did he also know that, which I would suspect he did and still does, and think, I have to do something here so that I can be kind of the victim, and if they cut me, then it will be viewed by, whomever that they cut me because I did what I did. Do you think he thought about that?
Well, I didn't know about that, and I didn't know that he wasn't good.
No, he sucks. He sucks. He does suck.
Now there's this whole other spin on it. Like, I feel like that might be exactly what's going on. He's like, hey, how can I keep a career after this? Because I'm not going to have any more money coming in. And, this is the hot button issue of the time. I feel like it is totally that. He probably thought of it on a whim,
why did he do that before, if not, right?
Exactly. This has been going on. The whole Black Lives Matter and this thing has been going on for a couple years now. Yeah. It's oddly convenient timing. I wonder if a publicist came up with it with him.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And then when because since it's been blowing up, I've heard about his history and how he grew up and everything. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you have no room to be talking about anything as far as
poor oppressed Colin.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I'm like,
do you see where his birth mom came out and trashed him on Twitter?
I did not see that.
Yeah, she said, come on. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't even come close to paraphrasing it. But no, you don't do that. That's not the way you were raised. And of course, for those of you who do not know, his adoptive parents are both white. Mm-hmm. So this dude has not been oppressed.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's I understand standing up for, people. You don't have to be oppressed to stand up for people that are being oppressed.
That is true. That's true. And I thought that as the words left my lips. You're right.
Yeah, but I do think that this is totally opportunistic. I didn't never know who this guy was. I don't watch football, but even I knew other people's names. I know Peyton Manning's name and other football players. So it's not I really had no idea who this guy was. So and now everybody knows this guy's name.
And you know what? You make the point right there better than someone like me who's pretty well versed in sports. You didn't know who he was, but now you do. And that's exactly the point.
Yeah, now that I know this part of it, I 100% think that that's what's going on.
He, again, look, it is his right to sit. It's his right to sit. is it also not the right of a company, which the 49ers are, as are any sports teams, is it also not the right of a company at some point to protect its brand?
It is their right. I mean, they can fire him because they don't like the color shoes he's wearing. You know, like, I'm sorry, that's the company's right. I know a lot of people don't think that, but that's the way it works.
You know what? That's exactly the way it works. And you know what? I mean, kind of as an aside to digress a bit, I mean, it's also the right of a company, in this case, a sports corporation, to pay people however much they can be paid. You know, we hear this crap all the time about, oh my God, you know, such and such makes whatever billions of dollars and teachers only make whatever. Well, you know what? You know, you kind of, to an extent, I'm sorry, but you make what you generate, right? And so the whole thing is part and parcel. Look, he has every right. Now, again, my question about a company, in this case, again, a football franchise, protecting its brand, where does that right to free speech end, right? As you well know, I have a few liberal followers that I keep around purposefully on Facebook because I like playing with them, like, right?
Yeah.
Like hamsters in a wheel. But one of them said, free speech. Okay, fine. Free speech. Of course, Colin Kaepernick. By the way, Limbaugh continues to call him Kaepernick. That ain't his name, Rush. It's Kaepernick. But anyway, Kaepernick has every right in the world, as do you, as do I, as does everyone in this country, to free speech. But at what point in your job does that not end, but do you not have the right, if you will, to display that? As an example, I suggested to this liberal pal. So he comes out and he sits, right? That's fine. Mm-hmm. The NFL has that position. The NFL has said before that players don't have to, and again, I'm like way paraphrasing, that players don't have to stand for the national anthem or whatever they say. They have a position on that. Mm-hmm. I agree with that position.
Yeah.
But at what point then does that end? Okay. So during a timeout, can you then do the Black Lives Matter thing with the T-shirts? You know, like I forget which team it was did coming out of the tunnel. At halftime, can you jump out on the field and do that? You know, you have a right to free speech, but you know what? You also have a job for which you're being paid millions of dollars. And damn it, that company also has a right to protect its brand.
I agree. I think that I really think that he has the right to say whatever he wants, and
of course he does.
You know, but the thing is, it's also like you are also at a job. If they have a set of standards, even though they don't in this case, but if, like, say you work at Walmart and you're supposed to say, "Hi, welcome to Walmart," and you decide, "Hey, don't be racist," is like a good greeting for people at Walmart.
Hey, Black Lives Matter.
You're probably gonna get fired. Like, and it has nothing to do with that. It's that you're not following the company protocol. Like, I mean, that's part of your job.
Listen to you and me, and everything would be much more simple.
I think so.
I think exactly right. I put up a post yesterday. This thing's almost at 1 million views right now.
Wow.
Thank you. A retired police officer who shot and killed a black guy wrote an open letter to Mr. Kaepernick. I would like to read some of it.
Okay.
This guy is incredible. I actually, you know, when I do these things, like I reach out to these people, I talk to him. I actually talk to him. And he is an incredible human being. He's also very private. I did a story, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, about a young woman who was a heroin addict. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I talked about this on the show or not. I don't think I did. I actually had it in the queue.
I didn't think I ever heard of it.
Yeah, I had it in the queue and never got to it. She was a heroin addict and was arrested for possession, went to jail, and then like a year later or whatever, thanked the police officer for arresting her and saving her life. I reached out to her. She gave me a quote that was awesome. I'm getting goosebumps here, that I included in my IJR article about that whole experience. And that thing skyrocketed as well. But anyway, I reached out to this guy, this retired cop. He's very private, deep faith, and said, Mike, let's let what I said, which I actually don't have in the IJR article, about how he was overwhelmed by the response to his open letter. He said, let's go with that. So that's cool. But anyway, this guy's name is Chris Amos. And let me just read this a little bit, because sometimes I actually like what I write, and apparently almost 1 million people do as well. But so I say, as the controversy continues to swirl around San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick over his refusal to stand for the national anthem, many people have written open letters to the athlete. None more poignant than the one written by a retired police officer. You see, retired officer Chris Amos has buried, and I put that in quotes because that's his word, 10 friends, 7 killed in the line of duty, and 3 who committed suicide. He also, I continue, he also shot and killed a 19-year-old black man in the line of duty as well. Got it. And then I have kind of a subhead. Retired officer posted an open letter to Kaepernick on his Facebook page Monday. Let me read part of that.
Okay.
I've read your statement a few times and want you to know I am one of the reasons you are protesting. You see, I am a retired police officer that had the misfortune of having to shoot and kill a 19-year-old African-American male. And just like you said, I was the recipient of about $3,000 a month while on leave, which was a good thing because I had to support a wife and 3 children under 7 years old, about 2 months without that money. Things were pretty tight because I couldn't work part-time. Every police officer I've ever known has worked part-time to help make ends meet. You know, Colin, the more I think about it, the more we seem to have in common. We both also know what it's like to get blindsided. You by a 280-pound defensive end, me by a couple of rounds fired from a gun about 2 feet away into my chest and thigh. We also both make our living wearing uniforms, right? You probably ruined a jersey or 2 on the field of play. I still have my blood-stained shirt that my partner and paramedics literally ripped off my back that cold night in January. We also have both experienced the hate and disgust others have just because of those uniforms we wear. I sure am glad for your sake that the folks who wear my uniform are on hand to escort you and those folks that wear your uniform into stadiums in places like Seattle. Colin and I buried 7 friends, killed in the line of duty, and 3 others who have committed suicide. I have attended more funerals than I care to remember of neighboring departments who have lost officers in the line of duty during my career. Excuse me. Law enforcement officers with different backgrounds, upbringings, and experiences, united by their willingness to answer the call to protect and serve their fellow citizens. Final paragraph here, and I skipped some. Colin, I'm sorry for the endorsement deals you may lose. This is killer, man. Colin, I'm sorry for the endorsement deals you may lose in the dip in jersey sales. Please know that you will never, he capitalized never, lose what these men and women and their families have lost. And so whether you stand or sit during the national anthem or not means very little to me. We will continue to this is just almost hard to read. We will continue to protect and continue to serve, and we will be standing at attention, Colin, not just for the playing of our national anthem, but far more importantly, for the playing of taps. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's different. Yeah, I get it, man. There's all different views on this thing, and I will say, in Kaepernick's defense, he has a right to do what he does, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Don't ever sit. I mean, I do we have time?
We have
No,
like
no, we can't do it.
okay.
The did you see the clip? I put this up on IJ over the weekend, but this life, he describes himself as a lifelong 49ers fan
Mm-hmm.
that did the, and I'm going to do air quotes here, the salute to Kaepernick.
Oh, where he burned the shirt.
Yeah, I put that
Yeah.
up on IJ over the weekend. It was, and he's right. You know, I mean, you have the right to do what you do, and you know what? We have the right to not like it if we don't want to. And
I
you
agree.
know, huh?
I 100% agree. It's an interesting thing. I grew up Jehovah's Witness, as I said a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And during the national anthem, like part of the religion, you're not supposed to salute the flag or, like put your hand on your heart for the national anthem or anything like that. But even there, they were like, but you still stand and respect that other people have respect for those things.
That's exactly. I mean, you could not have said that better.
That's
exactly right.
That's what we were taught.
Respect the people that are respecting it.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, even though we wouldn't put our hand on our hearts, we were still, it wasn't like you were supposed to be like, okay, you can just sit. No, we were supposed to stand with everybody and do that. Even if I didn't do that.
Yeah, we killed it this weekend on, I was asking one of the other editors, or actually all of them. We have an editors kind of subgroup on Slack. Slack is, I don't know if you know what Slack is, but it's this kind of thing that companies can use to communicate with one another, kind of like an email thing or whatever, but it's easier. Mm-hmm. But that I suggested, dudes, we need to send a thank you note to Kaepernick or something for this weekend because we just slayed it. I mean, like I told you, I had a couple of million views or something just by myself. Justin Charters I think he had one post that had that. So we slayed it, but I just lost it.
Yeah.
I just lost where I was going. But it just people, this thing has legs and it matters to people. And I'm trying to recover and I can't. That's what happens when you get old, man. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar says that Jessica refusing to stand for the national anthem is patriotic. So, you got, of course, he's been like that his whole life. But I just, you know what? I just don't get it. Respect the people. You said it best. At least respect the people who respect the flag, respect the country, respect the anthem. And you know what? I even kind of almost hate to go here, but I will. Mm-hmm. It's almost like should I say this? Yeah, it's almost like the LGBTQ, whatever. I don't know how many letters are after it.
Okay.
Like trashing conservatives or trashing this country. Go to Iraq and try that crap.
Well, that's
or even Saudi Arabia, our pals in Saudi Arabia, right? Go there and do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing, isn't it?
It is. There's no. I think a lot of people that say the things that they do, trashing this country, have never really been to another country. And I'm not saying they didn't visit other countries, because there's plenty of people I know that visit other countries and they're like, oh yeah, they do it so much better. I was like, yeah, go live there for like a month. I bet you probably will not be feeling the same way.
No, and you know what? My pal Todd.
Yes.
That's not his real name, but I'm typing. I'm sorry. This is to Jennifer Burke. By the way, you all, I'm thinking it's going to happen. Jennifer Burke, will join us at the bottom of the hour here. Yeah. No, but yeah, like go over there, Todd. And when your body comes back, I'll go to your funeral.
Well, it's also like the same. I got into a Facebook argument years ago with this one guy talking about how medical care in Cuba is so fantastic and everything is great.
Michael Moore did that whole movie about that thing.
Oh, yeah, this guy's talking, and he's like, my friend's been there, so he knows. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad your friend's been there. Yeah, he was there as a visitor. They only let you see certain parts of the country to begin with, even when you go to visit.
It's like that jackass Sean Penn with Cesar Chavez, right?
In Venezuela. The people that can't get toilet paper now.
Right now. How's that all working out, right?
Well, yeah, and now I've known people that have gone there too, and they talk about how great it is. And actually, they met some people that came from Cuba recently because of my friend's funeral. They actually got a visa and were able to come for the funeral. And I was talking to them, and they really like living in Cuba, but they also have never even seen a McDonald's or anything.
Well, that's the thing. That's exactly the thing.
And that's the thing. Yeah.
It's relative to what you know.
So to them, yeah, everything was pretty. I mean, there's room for improvement like everything else, and there's things that they can't get. But overall, they thought it was pretty okay. And then they were like, what is this? And I'm like, those are grapes. And I'm like, what? These are your grapes? Like, apparently they have grapes that don't grow very well and are very tiny. And it's, something simple like a grape. They're like, what kind of grape is this? It's amazing. These are so good. And the strawberries, they were freaking out about strawberries.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure not that great for a lot of people.
You know what? The only thing that I see cool, I see two things cool about Cuba. Mm-hmm. I see Old Havana, which is Old Havana. It's not changed. And really, because I'm a gearhead, that's car guy, to those of you who aren't gearheads, like they keep these 50s Chevys and Fords and stuff. They still drive them.
Well, I mean, they have no choice but to drive them.
They have no choice. They have no choice, right?
Yeah.
And it's just amazing that it's just like, you talk about a time capsule. It's just pretty incredible.
I mean, that's an interesting part of it altogether. But also, what I was going to say, too, is that even they're talking about, this is the wait list for getting this kind of medical care and this and blah, 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 blah. And it's like every day. It's like an everyday thing. And I'm like, because I was saying, I got to go do something. I was just going to go to urgent care right here. I was like, you can go see a doctor today? What? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah.
Canada, England, hello, Obamacare.
Yeah.
I mean, socialized medicine. You know what? I know we got a break here, but when they put walls up in places like Berlin, it ain't to keep the West Berliners out of East Berlin, right? It's to keep those people from learning exactly what Jessica and I were just talking about. Look, we got to kick it out of here, but we're going to be right back with Jennifer Burke, the head honcho of Politistic. She was on Fox and Friends the last 2 weekends. We're going to hook up with Jennifer in a second. Don't go away. Would I be a good man? Would I be true? True to myself, be true to you. The devil is...
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Doug, I never thought I could go back to school, but when it's this easy, it fits.
I'm right there with you, Jackie, taking classes, watching lectures in the living room on the iPad. It's not hard.
I can be a mom, make dinner, get my classwork done, and not miss a moment with my family. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Hey, it's Jackie Velasquez, and if Doug and I can do this, you can do this too. Higher education with Liberty University Online.
Find out more about completing your college degree at the world's largest Christian university, Liberty University. Get all the details right now. Grab your cell and dial pound 250. When prompted, say the keyword Liberty University.
Training champions for Christ since 1971, Liberty University Online. Find out more about learning online. Dial pound 250, then say the keyword Liberty University.
Liberty University Online with hundreds of degree programs to choose from. Call now, pound 250. Say the keyword Liberty University.
That's pound 250. Say keyword Liberty University.
Okay, I can't believe the first half hour is gone, but the only good part about that is the second half hour is here, and as promised, my good pal, and I mean that. Yeah, I have lots of good friends, as does she online, that we've not necessarily met in person, but I think a very good friend of mine. A new rock star on television, by the way. Jennifer Burke, the head honcho at Politistic. Jennifer, welcome back, man.
Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure, always fun.
And always a pleasure and always fun to have you back on. Okay, so you have been, as I recall, the last 2 weekends, you have been a guest on Fox and Friends, have you not?
I have been. It's been a real blessing to have them want me to be on the show.
Just tell me about that whole experience, man.
It came as a little bit of a surprise the first week. I really completely did not expect it. And the time frame is early. You know, New York is 3 hours ahead of where I live. 3 hours now. It'll be 2 hours in November.
Right.
So, so for a 7:15 a.m. segment, I have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And it's really hard to go to bed super early. So it's a good thing I was a teacher for 12 years.
I couldn't do that part. But anyway, continue.
It's a good thing I was a teacher for 12 years and can fake being alert and awake even if I'm not. The first segment they wanted me to talk about, initially it was about Cam Newton. That was an article of mine that caught attention, I guess. And then we instead talked about the $100 million Black Lives Matter donation, which is just ridiculous. I came up in the Tea Party. We didn't get, contrary to what leftists wanted to say, the Koch brothers did not write a check and send it to.
Did we just lose her? Jessica?
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I need to figure this out, Mike. When my phone rings, I lose.
Oh, yeah, that happened last time. That's okay.
Well, I mean, I've looked to see, is there a setting? Is there something I can do? And there's not. But
continue. It's cool.
And then this past, I was like, oh, I never heard anything back. I wasn't sure how they felt, about my appearance or anything, though I got a lot of feedback on social media, which was really good. But then this last time, after the segment where, again, we talked about Hillary Clinton, and I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but he's right. I mean, in fact, when you have Quanell X, a former Black Panthers leader in Houston, basically agreeing with what Donald Trump says, the left does take Democrat votes.
I put that up on IJR, by the way. I got like 500,000 views on that video. He was completely spot on.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, completely spot on. And then much to my surprise, I'm just going about my day. We usually come grab a bite to eat, go back to sleep. Then I woke up and a friend of mine posted a link on my wall, and Fox had clipped my video and put it on their Twitter accounts and their Facebook, which was really cool. So now one of the clips, they did it into one of my clips, on their Facebook is up to 1.2 million views.
Yeah,
which is just astounding.
Yeah, you put that up on Facebook, and congrats, man. And this is going to sound, you know me, like I have no filters, right? So this is not going to probably come off the way I actually really earnestly mean it. But like, you did better than I thought you might. No, see, I said it. No, you just absolutely killed it. I mean, the poise and the way that you that you phrased everything you said. Okay, forget the first part. You were just awesome. So, and I really mean that, because man, you kill it.
Yeah, thank you. Because you always worry. I mean, Matthew told me, he was like, you've done this. My sons were like, you've been preparing for this for a long time. I do a lot of radio. I've done some hits on Newsmax and everything. And they said, you'll be great. But still, you always wonder, am I going to say something stupid? Am I going to get tongue-tied? Am I going to mess up? And so Matthew's like, just don't think that you're on Fox and people are watching. Lots of people are watching.
Yeah, don't think about it.
Just forget about that. And what was really cool about this last time, we get in the car to go home, and I get a text message from a friend of mine from college who lives in San Antonio, who was up early to take his son to a track meet. And he said, I'm up early, and I turn on Fox, and I'm watching. And all of a sudden, you come on.
Didn't you love that?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
All right. I have two words for you that you probably don't love right now. You know what they are?
I believe I do. I didn't love these words beforehand either.
Colin Kaepernick, man. I didn't either.
Right.
I mean, just kind of like we kind of almost did the whole first half hour. Jessica, I think we actually did about this thing. But can you just kind of riff for me on that? And I will ask you the same way I asked Jessica at the beginning. A, does he have the right? And then B, what impact? Well, let me do B. Like, does the franchise have the right to protect its brand if it chooses to do so? So what's your just kind of overall take on that whole ridiculousness?
Yeah, I was writing something this morning about John Legend basically agreeing with Kaepernick, saying he was right to disrespect the American flag and the sit down. What Kaepernick said, for those that don't know, is I'm not going to honor a flag that oppresses black people. And then John Legend followed it up with, well, it's a weak song anyway. And in the Daily Signal, they talked about how a real former escaped slave, Frederick Douglass, felt about the Star Spangled Banner. And I've read about people have said, he's ignorant in just even the history. Black people have fought and died for that flag. Even years ago, black slaves are fighting it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Does he have the right to say what he wants to say? I mean, of course he does.
Yeah.
The 49ers have a right to fight. It's not a protection under the First Amendment for him to be untouched. They have a right to protect their brand
or to be on that team.
Right. And the fact of the matter is, Colin Kaepernick has sucked for years.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
exactly the verb that I used. He has sucked. Yes, he has.
And I question his timing. Now, there's been speculation, he converted to Islam, and now he's dating this Black Lives Matter activist chick and everything. But for me, I'm like, okay, he's been downhill ever since. He played backup for his rookie year, and then he ended up starting, and they traded Alex Smith, who in recent years has done better than Kaepernick, and it's just been a fiasco downhill ever since then. 2 years ago, there was this big
over his head for 1 year.
Yeah, and it was we looked at him playing, and we were living in Seattle at the time, and so we saw them play a lot, and we're watching them, but his play as a quarterback, he was more of a runner than a passer. Yeah. I mean, period. I mean, that was the reality of it, and when you can't do both, then you have a problem with your game.
You know what? He lost. He lost me. I'm sorry. No, you don't have to be sorry for me interrupting you. He lost me when he kissed his bicep. So,
yeah. So and so you wonder, is he doing this so that he can cry racism and discrimination
Exactly.
if he ends up getting cut? Since the writing's on the wall. I mean, he lost his starting position to Blaine Gabbert, who you can't tell me he's a better quarterback than Tim Tebow, but that's a whole nother show. But he's sitting the bench, making a guaranteed $11 million a year. You know,
and like 14 and then 17 the next couple of years.
Yeah, he's biracial, which there's nothing wrong with that. I have biracial nieces and nephews. My stepkids are biracial, but he's biracial. His black father was never ever in his life. He's lived a life of privilege. He was adopted by very wealthy white parents. His white birth mother, gave him up for adoption.
And she has since killed him on Twitter.
Yeah, has said, you're bringing shame, onto the family for what you're doing. I mean, there's just I don't see how he thinks this is a positive way to bring about a conversation, because I don't think he's created the conversation he was hoping to create. He's getting paid a ton of money to basically be an overpaid bench warmer, below average quarterback. And he wants to talk about being oppressed and oppression. I don't know if you saw this picture, two pictures that shows you that Colin Kaepernick is either an idiot, a hypocrite, or both. And I vote for both. I said that.
I would go,
too.
Yeah.
Number one, his Nike shoe collection made by child labor.
I saw that.
And number two, giving a press conference wearing a Fidel Castro shirt.
I saw that too.
And you're against oppression. So all this, we know that the Black Lives Matter movement, it's just bringing about cultural Marxism in this country. I mean, you look at the demands that they're now making, and it is absolutely ludicrous. A guaranteed income for every black person in America. Seriously, are you trying to tell me that black people can't take care of themselves? And I do want to say I'm black for those listening that don't know. I think black people are more than capable when they put their minds to it and learn a skill, a trade, get an education, something of taking care of themselves and their families. My parents did it. I think everybody can. And it just really makes you wonder. There's speculation he could get cut before the next game.
And
for he's that bad.
And for those of you who do not know and are not real sharp on the uptake, Jennifer is black. You're exactly right. And you know what? This is why you're on Fox and Friends and I'm not. Cultural Marxism is exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it exactly. You have. I don't know if you recall this. It's really interesting and disturbing how much these leftists actually honor and worship these horrible human beings like Castro. I don't know if you recall, there was a Barack Obama office. I want to say it was in Houston, either in 2008 or 2012, that actually had a huge poster of Che Guevara hanging in it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I talked in the first segment about Sean Penn putting on the knee pads for what's his face, Chavez.
Chavez, yeah.
Venezuela, same thing.
Yeah, some of the biggest, oppressors, murderers. I had my cousin try to say, well, I think he wore the Malcolm X Fidel Castro shirt because they're both egalitarian. It's like there's nothing egalitarian about Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
Are you serious? And then a Facebook friend of mine commented and said, my family can tell you just how egalitarian Castro is because he took everything they had and threatened to murder them because she's originally from Cuba and then they escaped.
You just look at, maybe you should broaden that a bit. I mean, you just look at the left's love affair with the Bernie Sanders. I mean, just to go back to Bernie Sanders, there has never been a socialistic / communistic system in the world that has ever succeeded for the people. First of all, I mean, the old USSR succeeded through guns and tanks for a while, but it never, ever, ever, ever has worked. Yet these lunatics like Sean Penn and whomever, they continue to kind of sing the praises, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They really do, because the elitist leftist thinks, the reason it hasn't worked anywhere else is because they just weren't smart enough to implement it correctly.
They're not,
that's always the mindset, and it's so funny. I don't think the mainstream media. I know we did on conservative new media talked a lot about the what was it, $600,000 beach home, his third house that socialist Bernie Sanders bought after his presidential run.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously.
That been Romney, by the way, right?
What'd you say?
Had that been Romney, by the way.
Oh yeah, had that been Romney. I mean, remember with Romney and Romney's shirt that they made a huge deal about how much money it cost, but when Michelle Obama wears a dress to meet the royal family in England, and the princess is wearing a $200 dress, and Michelle Obama is wearing a $2,000 dress, it's no biggie.
Yeah. Speaking of dress, did you see that that outfit that Hillary wore to Babs? No, it was Cher's fundraiser. What the hell was that?
And these things aren't cheap. I mean, it reminds me of. I was watching a local morning show yesterday, and they had, this is a whole new one, Mike. You and I will probably look into this. They had these shoes on there, and they're like worn out shoes. Some are taped up, have holes in them and everything, and they're selling for $600, $700. And the design, and people are buying them. And the designer is being accused of poverty appropriation.
Oh, wow. See,
I was like, seriously?
I will have to look into that.
I don't know who tells Hillary that it's flattering to her figure.
It looked like she's wearing pajama bottoms,
right?
Slippers, and some, like, I don't know, oven mitt or grill cover or Rumu or whatever the hell that was.
I think that was the outfit where they had who wore it better, Hillary or the Rand McNally map.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. That was pretty damn funny.
Now, I want to bring this up real quick. Speaking of Hillary and Kaepernick, here's the other part of that of Kaepernick's interview in the locker room that he gave that the media isn't talking about, is his criticism of Hillary. He said he criticized both of them. He said, we have Hillary who calls black teens and other black kids super predators, and you have Donald Trump who's openly racist. But then he said, we have a presidential candidate, Clinton, who has deleted emails and done things illegally and is a presidential candidate. That doesn't make sense to me. If that was any other person, you'd be in prison. That's true. I have to give
it is true.
Cap that one. That one is
I also give him credit for that, and if nothing else, to an extent, and I don't want to excuse him for this, but he's a young guy. He's impressionable, and he's probably, obviously, taken aback by everything going on in this country right now. But when he gets to people being murdered in the streets and that whole bit, that's when he loses me, because he has no idea what the hell he's talking about.
Right. And people, getting away with it and basically getting a vacation, that kind of narrative that goes out there. Yeah. I mean, maybe I don't know much about this woman that he supposedly is seeing, she's a Black Lives Matter activist. Obviously, she's had a huge influence over him, but his very life, shows that this country is great. I mean, from him being given a chance at a good life by his white adoptive parents. He grew up in a very affluent neighborhood. His father is an executive in a cheese company. They said his white, I was reading an article by Steve Days, his white high school coach made a reel of his football because he was better at baseball. He was being looked at heavily for baseball, but he wanted to play football. Not many colleges were looking at him, so his white coach put together a reel of his play, and he ended up getting a scholarship, full ride, to the University of Las Vegas, Nevada, I believe is what it was. And then, he was given the starting job over a white quarterback when Alex Smith, he had gotten injured. He was great before he got injured, but then Kaepernick ended up taking over, and they stuck with him after that. He's lived a life of privilege. And so it's astounding that he would just stomp on the American flag in this country in that manner. That's like Obama standing at the podium and saying that black people can't achieve anything in this society because the system is against them. Really? Have you looked in the mirror?
Or Michelle saying, for the first time in my life, I'm proud of this country.
Right.
That's exactly right, man. It's just, you know what? He has the right, but dude, think about it. And again, you know, even if you have some question about, are there sometimes instances where police officers look at black people differently? Ask that question, but to then jump to the conclusion like people are being murdered in the street, you know, without that, you lose me there.
Hey, even Jesse
Jackson. Yes.
Even Jesse Jackson said he crosses the street, crosses to the other side of the street. There are two quite poetic justice things that I think are quite ironic, which I'm not sure if you heard of. If Kaepernick is still with the 49ers by their next preseason game, against the Chargers, it's going to be the Chargers salute to the military night, and so everybody in the stadium will have a flag. It'll be flag everywhere. So it'll be interesting to see what Kaepernick does. It will be still in the 49ers.
Extremely interesting. And you know what? Like some 49ers fans have even suggested that when he goes to if he's still on the team, when they go to visiting cities, he will be booed. I would suggest that he would also be booed in San Francisco, but that's just me.
You know, somebody on IJ, I think it was Justin Charters wrote a great story about a guy who did not want to honor the flag. What was it, back in the late 80s or something like that? Yeah. And what a difference it was. I mean, he said, okay, they reached a deal with him and said that he didn't have to look at the flag, and he didn't. But then after that season, he was done. He was like, nobody wanted me.
Speaking of Charters, did you read the post he put up? I don't remember now if it's the Navy SEAL or the Ranger that Justin reached out to and got comments about it. That thing hit like 3 million views.
Whoa, wow.
And I did well this weekend. I had a couple of million, but Charters killed me with one post with reaching out to that guy. Speaking of reaching out, apparently Mr. Trump is in Mexico as we speak, huh? Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. And I think right before I came on, they were about to give some remarks together, him and the president of Mexico. I'm sure it was a very, very screened audience, and people were told you can't boo. I mean, it wasn't like it was in front of some big crowd. Yeah. He gives a speech in Phoenix, in about a few hours at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
4 hours. I'm not going, but
I'm just getting a complete kick out of his. And you know what, Trump fans, Trump-a-loompas, as you know, I lovingly call you. This is a flip-flop, right? I mean, the dude, other than like his ridiculous nonsense about making Apple in other countries, other companies build their products in this country when he's president. P.S. I've never had anyone answer me when I've suggested.
Hello?
I think we lost Mike.
I think so too. I missed a mid-sentence.
Yeah, I think he just lost internet or something. I know he has storms there. Yeah, but I guess what he was gonna say is that he's definitely flip-flopping on this issue.
Oh yeah, they're trying to make it like he hasn't. By what his son last night was saying, it's going to be baby steps. But how can you say you haven't flip-flopped? I mean, I know they're trying to cover it because it was the cornerstone of his campaign. I mean, plain and simple.
I mean, I heard the speech where he said that they were doing the softening and stuff like that, and I think it was more like an issue of they're trying to get more like a broader message for the general election. They're kind of trying to broaden the base a little bit there, because that happens in all elections. But I mean, you can't say that it isn't a change in the policy. Right. So
right, I don't know if you heard him say that a softening was actually a hardening, as if that makes any sense to you. But
I did not hear that one. No.
Yeah, he did when he got flack. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, okay, just admit it, just own up to it. But I mean, Ted Cruz told people this is not going to be. He's not going to retain that hardline stance. He's not. But Trump said no. This is the way it's going to be. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what he says in his speech in Phoenix. I guess we'll be watching it on television, but
it'll be interesting. I want to see what happened, like what happens in Mexico and all that. I mean, it's a really interesting thing, and everybody can't stop talking about it. Like it's all I heard this morning. It's like, oh my God, he's going to Mexico.
But he didn't allow the press to go with him.
Yeah, that's true.
So the only thing, I guess if they let Kellyanne Conway go out and speak about it, or any of his kids go out and speak about it, we'll find out. But to be a fly on that wall, I really want to know what happened in there.
Yeah, that's what I really would like to know too. So we're almost out of time. Can you give us all your info so people can reach out?
Yeah, you can find us online at politistic.com, POLITI stick.com, and on Facebook at facebook.com/politistic, POLITI stick.
Okay, thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming
on. Thank you.
And we'll talk to you again later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that was Jennifer Burke, and she did a great job. Let me see if I can get Mike back on. Trying to do that now. Let me see. Mike, hey. Well, I thought he was going to come on, but we have about 2 minutes left. It's an interesting story going on. Mike, you back?
Hello?
Sorry, Jennifer.
That's right.
Mike's trying to call back, and it's kind of calling you too.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Bye.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It was great having you. Listen to us again, and we'll see you on Friday.
Say goodbye to the city. I think it's time to get away.